I would like to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Aparna Haldar and I will be hosting this webinar. Before we get started, please let me take a few minutes to introduce Payatu. Payatu is a research-powered cybersecurity consultant firm. We have a decade-long track record with a singular focus on cybersecurity. The foundation of Payatu rests upon three pillars: community and conferences, consulting and training, products. Community and conferences encompass NullCon, an international security conference, training, and exhibition platform. Hardware.io, a hardware security focused conference along with other initiatives. Consulting and training focuses on thorough security assessments, which helps businesses to discover security threats and further provide training to strengthen network infrastructure. Lastly, we have two products in private beta trials, that is Exploity, a firmware analysis framework, and CloudFuzz, an advanced fuzzing framework. Here is an overview of the various consulting assessments we are known for across the globe. Payatu has delivered many cyber talks and workshops in top security conferences that include Black Hat, and DEF CON. We take pride in the decade-long impact we have created by contributing to the cybersecurity community all around the world. This was all about Payatu. Today, Ashwin, Payatu's security consultant, will deliver a webinar on DFIR. You can read about his wonderful accomplishments on this slide. Before I hand it over to Ashwin, I request you to follow a few housekeeping tips. Please be on mute. If you have a question, you can write it in the chat box. We will answer the questions during the intervals or at the end of the webinar. We will be releasing the recording of this webinar on our LinkedIn page. So make sure you are following Payatu. If you are not following the page, check the link in the chat box. You will be directed towards Payatu's LinkedIn page. Without further ado, let's get started. Ashwin, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Aparna. Thank you so much. Okay, let me share my screen. Yes, let me know if it's visible.
Your screen is visible, Ashwin. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So today I will be talking about getting started with DFIR. First of all, thank you folks for coming on a weekend, and I really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Aparna told a lot about me. I just want to mention, like, here is my social handle, that most probably you will find me everywhere with 0x Cardinal. So yeah, I am a security consultant at Payatu, and you can say hi to me at 0x Cardinal on Twitter mostly. So what we will be going through today is, the agenda is, we will understand what is digital forensics, what are different data sources, like where to find the evidence, then what is chain of custody, then we will see what is the need of data forensics in organizations, and then we'll look a brief about browser forensics, one of many fields of the digital forensics field. Then we will see about different challenges and concerns that are being raised constantly in the DFIR field. And then we'll see some resources and some labs that you might be interested in. So what is digital forensics? Digital forensics is a science of digital forensic science is a branch of forensic science that focuses on the recovery and investigation of material found in the digital devices related to cyber crimes. So this is a definition that I found on EC Council, and it like really well summarizes what digital forensics is all about. Then what are all the places that we can find the evidences, data, and there are different data sources which are really helpful for us. Those are logs, metadata, the social media activity, the OSINT that we do, then the prefetch files in Windows, link file in Windows, and RAM images. So these are different data sources that we will see generally see where when dealing with the digital evidence. So I have told a bit of digital evidence. This is a terminology generally associated with digital forensics, where any data, any device that is being associated in a cybercrime, that we consider as a digital evidence, and on that we find different data sources where we can find information about the case that we are dealing with. So suppose, let me give you an example. Suppose if we are dealing with a theft, data theft, and like some laptop has been known to be compromised. So we get that data, and suppose we see what all things are there in that system. We don't want to do it directly, but we need to take out the data from that system and analyze on our own. So we will go into details in the upcoming sections, but the different data sources that we will be looking at are the logs, metadata, the activities that we are doing, not just social media activities, the prefetch files that generally contain the information about the application that we open and that we close, and um, all the all the pre-fetching of the data related to the applications that we deal with, the link files, then the RAM images, the temporary data that we store in our system. So basically, any device that can store or retrieve data from that we can consider as a mm, valid data source. So moving forward, there are different steps of digital forensics that we will see now. One is identification, that what is the thing that we want to investigate. That is, the identification is the first in the process. Then we look at preservation. We do not want to tamper the evidence. We Just a sec. Yeah. We do not want to tamper the evidence, but we will. Okay, Rahul, I will be answering your questions in the very end, if that's fine. So, the steps of digital forensics is the identification phase, where we identify what type of evidence and what is the case. Then we look at the preservation, how we can take out data from the evidence and use it to analyze. And then comes the analysis phase, where we will analyze how different data sources can be helpful for the case in order to prove our point. Then in the complete process, we need to document each and everything that we are looking at and what all things we are doing, so that we can prove our point that if certain thing has happened, this is the reason it has happened that we have found in our investigation. And then the presentation, these complete digital forensics process is not just for technical person. We are going to present it to some non-technical person, suppose police or some high level authority, who might or might not understand the technical details of it. So we need to make sure the presentation that we are giving to the that we are giving is very easy to understand. And so these are the steps though that is associated in the digital forensics digital forensics process. So this is called chain of custody. This is how we manage the different processes in the digital forensics digital forensics, and we will go in depth with the context of browser forensics in this. So hold tight. So what is the need for digital forensics? So there are different ways that many people have like explain why there's a need for digital forensics. And I have accumulated few of them that I felt was really the root of it, the determining the cause of potential intent of the cyber attack. So if the cyber attack has happened, you need to understand why it has happened and what is the reason for it. So digital forensics can help over there. Protecting the evidence. Suppose you have the digital evidence. Not every time the evidence is being intact because of some malware that the attacker might have injected in the system, or something the attacker has done in order to tamper their footprints. So protecting the digital evidence from the attacker before it becomes obsolete. That is the other thing. Increasing the security hygiene and tracking the paths that hacker has taken, and locating what tools they have used using the prefetch file and different other different other things, and looking what all data has been extracted and accessed, and determining the duration of the unauthorized network access. So these are a few uh, pointers that defines why we need digital forensics in today's world. So now digital forensics in a whole is a very big domain, but there is subsections where we can do the forensics of disk, we can do the forensics of network, the network that we are communicating in. Then the wireless forensics can be done. The database that we are using are also a part of the can also be a part of the digital evidence that we collect. So database forensics is also possible. Malware forensics is one of the most hyped up forensic terminology. So malware forensics, like what tracks that malware has taken and harm it has, what harm it has done to the system, and uh, like if they are persisting in the system. And then comes the email forensics, then memory, browser, mobile. So let me know if you don't understand any of it. I'll explain it in the very last section. Now we look at the browser forensics. So browser forensics are considered a gold mine because of the amount of information they contain. So uh, how many of you think that browsers store uh, immense amount of data, even if it's a Brave browser that is a security centric? So just give a hi if you think so, that even Brave browser stores our data that can be used for forensics purposes. Just put it in the chat and I will be able to see it. Okay, so we will see how this not sure, but maybe they too store something. Yeah, browser store a lot of valuable data. Yes, you are all very correct. And we will see how browsers store data and how we can use it. So browsers are considered a gold mine because of the amount they contain. So there are different artifacts. So what are artifacts in fact? Artifacts are the files that are stored in the operating system in some specific directories that can be used to access the different files and different information that is related to the browser. Then each browser stores its file in a different location than other browsers. Suppose for Chrome, there's a different file location. For Firefox, there's a different file location. For Brave, there's a different file location. And they have different names and different strategies of storing the data. But the artifacts that we see depends upon how the browser functions. And more or less, we see the similar artifacts everywhere. We see navigation histories, the history that we have stored, the autocomplete data that we that is being generally that is being generally implemented by the browser to help us. And the cache, the logins, browser sessions are being stored, the download of files, so etc. So there are different browser artifacts that are being stored and that can be used for the forensics purposes. So the browser artifacts. So as I told, each browser has a different path to store data. Okay, so if you are on a Windows machine, you have different file path for storing Mozilla or Chrome's information. And if you are on Linux, there's different path to store the locate different part to store the information about the browser and its artifacts. So the files that we see are generally text files, JSON files, database files, etc., which store all kind of information about the browser and all of its activities that are performed on it. So all the artifacts that we have seen are stored in text files, JSON file, database file, etc. So I will give you guys 5 minutes. Just go to this location if you're using Mozilla or Chrome and have a look. And if anyone can type in chat what all files they can see, that would be of great help. So I will be giving 5 minutes. So go to, if you have a Windows system, go to C users, then your username, app data, roaming, yeah, roaming Firefox, and you will have all the things over here. Sometimes for Firefox, for Chrome, it's in local. So it depends upon it depends upon mm, the strategies that the browser has taken to store their data. So yeah, go ahead and try it and let me know once you're done. And for Linux folks, Mozilla and it's in the home directory with the hidden folder of .mozilla, and under that a Firefox directory which contains all the similar files. And similarly for Chrome, it's the same thing. So yeah, go ahead and have a look. In the meantime, let me see if I can also show you about the Brave, the browser that I'm using. The Brave structure, I have not focused that much, but I hope this is visible. In local, there is a Brave software and the user data. So over here, we have all the different files that Brave has generated. Yes, it is a bit difficult to extract information from Brave uh, when compared to like different browsers like Chrome and Firefox. It is a bit difficult, but it is also possible. I I have also attached a link in the very end that you can go through to see what different kinds of forensics can be performed on the Brave. So there's just guest profiles that I have created. Then these files are generally the database files, the cookies stored. And if you go in the Chrome browser, there are JSON file, text files, DB files that can be used, that you can use SQLite and get it extracted, all the data. So I hope all of you have done. So if yes, can you please just say something so that I know that you have understood. Yeah, crash reports, add-ons. Yeah, all these kind of different data is being stored by the browser. So this data is being stored for, yeah, found, saved, browsing cookies, files. Yes, exactly. So these data are stored for better user experience and functionalities of the browser, which can also help the forensic experts, forensic investigators to understand how the browsers are being used and what all things uh, have been opened in the browser, what all things have been downloaded in the browser. Yes, thumbnails, cookies, add-ons. Yes, yes, everything is being stored over there. So let's see how the chain of custody thing works for in the context of browser forensics. So now we have seen that the thing we need to analyze is the browser. Okay. Now the all the data that is been flowing. So let's take an example. Let's take an example. Uh, there's a data theft in an organization, and to you are being asked to investigate that. And there's there's a system that you have been given for the investigation purpose. So uh, you have been given this information that some things have been uploaded and some things have been downloaded from there. So these are the things. So we need to identify first uh, what is the first thing that we see, what is the things that we need to investigate. After the identification phase is done, we we see the preservation phase, where we can use the FTK imager. FTK imager is just a tool that creates an image of the files and folders that of the disk, basically of the complete disk, so that it can be taken out and easily analyzed. So this stage is very much crucial. Why? Because you as an investigator have been given that system. If you start going through the system and seeing what all things are there, you are tampering the evidence. You you are tampering the evidence. You are manipulating the evidence, and these all things can be very dangerous for the investigator, as you might uh, leave the traces, and which can hide the real hackers traces. So we have to take everything out from that machine, and we have to analyze it. We have to analyze it in our own system. So in order to preserve the state of the evidence, we need to use tools like FTK Imager to get a copy of the image file and take it outside the system. This is not a foolproof method. This is not at all a foolproof method, because uh, these can also leave some traces. But in order to do it properly, we need to document what all things you have done and what all traces it might have left. So preservation is a very crucial stage, as we need to perform the task without much tampering the evidence. And if we perform the analysis in the evidence, we are tampering it. Hence, we need to preserve the state of the evidence. So you have the image of the disk. So now moving forward, we need to analyze. So whenever you use these kind of tools like FTK Imager and stuff, we it generates an image with E01 extension. So what this extension is, this is a general extension that is being used to create forensic disks, disk images that we can use it to open in different tools like autopsy, in order to analyze it, And so this is basically the most creative part of the process, as here we figure out the different activities performed to support the case. Here you can go through the cookies, the download histories, the all the browsing histories, what all things you have been given. So taking the scenario forward, we have to see what all things have been downloaded. So we can go into we can go into that same specific path in order to understand what all things have been downloaded, and there's a separate log for it. So you might be thinking earlier why we are not, like, why we are creating an image, and if we have browser, why don't we directly go and search, see the browsing history is, and see the download histories. Like, that is also possible. Again, if we are doing that, we are tampering the evidence. That's why we have to take the image out of it, and then we need to open it using different tools. And like autopsy is a great tool that can help in analysis of such image files. So that we can use for analysis. We then, in that comes in handy that links that we see that we saw earlier for browser, in the browser forensic section, that comes in very handy. So this is the most creative part. So we will see that not only we know as good guys, we know that this can be done in order to see what all things can, like, what all things the attacker has done. But when I am knowing this, the person who is attacking is also knowing it. So he will try every possible aspect of covering his tracks. So that comes as a challenge. And here we have to be very much creative in order to understand what things the attacker has done. We have to basically get into the mind of the attacker and see what all things they have done and how creatively we can prove our points. And okay, now we have got the evidence and we have analyzed it, and we got, yeah, some files have been downloaded. In the browsing history, we can see that on a specific link something has been uploaded, and these all things can be like you have received. Now during the complete process, we see that we have done multiple things, and we need to document each and everything that we have done. The importance of documents comes as we move forward to the presentation stage. We, if we do not document, we cannot explain any non-technical person, which is the most important part. You have, like, in your hands lies a very important role. You, if you are telling that this is the evidence and these are things supporting that, supporting our case, that we can use as we that we can present it to the audience. And in order, the audience over here is the non-technical people, like police and the higher authorities in an organization. So they might not be that technical, so you need to make it very easy to understand. So these are the four chain of custody techniques that we are basically using. First is identification of the evidence, then preservation of the evidence, then we analyze the evidence and see what all things we get, then we document each and every thing that we have done, and we present it to the non-technical people. So this is the complete process of chain of custody in context of browser forensics. So we can do this in disk image analysis, uh, network forensics, and all kind of forensics. We have to follow this chain of custody. It is very difficult for me to cover all of the things in just 1 hour, but this I will give you enough resources so that you can get started with it. And yeah, you can always ping me if you need any help in that. So as we talked about challenges earlier for a bit, we know what are the forensic techniques that we need to do, but there are bad folks who can be also knowing those same things, and they try to cover the facts. So anti-forensics is a word, is a concept that we know that these all path is the right part to do, but those path is all that path is also understood by the bad guys, and they have covered all the path, and they have cleared the history, they have removed the downloads, they have done different kind of techniques that will make our job tough. So we need to be creative all day round. Then evolving technologies, the uh, constant research and constant development that we see in today's technologies will also is also impacting our work as the forensics investigator. We need to understand in depth how that thing works, where all the data is and what data means. So that is also one of the major concerns. Then the increase in volume of evidence. So suppose if you are taking uh, image of a pen drive, it is suppose it's a 8 GB pen drive, but sometimes you have to take the image of a complete system that might be more than 2 TB and 1 TB data, and sometimes you have to go even further to some extent that the volume of the evidence constantly increases. And as the days coming days, we are going to see this problem, that the volume of evidence increase, and the tools at some point of time might take very long time in order to process those evidence. So yeah, single approach does not work anymore. Earlier it used to, but now it does not, because of anti-forensics, evolving technologies, and different kind of stuff. So these are technical issues, technical challenges and concerns. Yeah, one more is strong encryption techniques. We have seen like Brave, we have seen strong encryption techniques. So there, it makes our life a bit tough as a forensic investigator. Uh, so that is also a concern. That is a good thing for folks who are using it, but that is a concern if we need to investigate a case. Then there are legal challenges. What all things can be considered as uh, like what all things can be considered digital evidence, what all things we how far we can go in order to analyze things. So these are some challenges and some concerns that we see. So so what next? The resources that I was talking about. So this sans provides lots of cheat sheets, and I am a big fan of their work. So one of these resources are like very highly recommended. Let me show it to you. So this is one of the cheat sheets that is for Windows forensics that they have used. So if you go through each and every one of them, you can see the different uh, programs and different Windows 10 timeline, then jump lists. We talked about prefetch a bit. So here, or each PF, like time of the execution, number of times the application has been run, and different kind of information has been stored in prefetch, and all the different Windows related stuff has been given over here. Then we have some of email attachments, forensics. Then we have browser artifacts, where the all of these things are getting stored, downloads. Then we have network as well, the cookies, time zones, the event logs that are being generated. So there's lots and lots of things that can be analyzed in a investigation. We just need to be creative. So this is so SANS has lots of these things. Let me open this link for you. Yes. So just log in into SANS. I will be sharing these slides on Twitter. So maybe get it from there. So you can get all the different memory forensics, Android third-party apps forensics, malware analysis, cheat sheet. Everything can be found over here. These are really great in order to learn. And for forensics, it is the same. The SANS have provided for us. And if you are into web, you must know hack tricks. It has different type of methodologies, techniques, and everything. And they have also covered browser artifacts. So this is also a good start, good place to get started with. They have covered things in depth. So this is also a great uh, place to learn. So earlier I was talking about the research paper that I saw, and I have to look into it. So let me get that on screen. So this research paper is for private browsing forensics. So this Brave has made our life a bit tough. So for that, there are still some scope of analyzing. So this is also a great place to understand the private browsing forensic analysis. So they are using Brave browser, and they are trying to analyze what all things can be analyzed from it. So I have mentioned a few tools as well. Uh, Atop the FTK imager. So these are great tools that I use, and and you can also try different labs over here. So let me zoom in a bit. Yeah. If you can see case investigation, email forensics. So cyberdefenders.org/labs. Uh, it's a great place to get all the resources to try different tools out, try different methodologies that you want to develop. So basically, forensics is about methodology, and how frequently you update it and keep in line with the new technologies that are coming. So there's disk image, email forensics, and then so let's open an email forensics something. Yeah, so they give you an image file, and based on that, they have asked a few questions, and you have to give the answers and stuff. So it's a fun gamification of these learning processes. So that can be a great learning way. So, and yes, Google everything and explore whatever you feel that this is not a great thing, and not a great thing, and you are not understanding what that thing is. Just Google it. Google it. Google will give you everything that you need to understand. So yeah, this is it. So the different question and answers, if you have, Aparna, would you like to?
So the session is open for your queries. If you have any queries, you can mention it in the chat box.
Yes, and for the meantime, thank you everyone for joining in. You can connect with me on Twitter. I will be sharing my presentation over there. And yes, open to questions. I saw one question earlier.
There
Yeah.
was one question by Rahul Shaw. He asked, "Can
Yeah,
you
yeah,
please elaborate link files?"
yeah. Okay. Just a sec. Let me open that for you. So whenever we make is chat, yeah. Whenever we create a shortcut in the whenever we create a shortcut in Windows, it creates a link file. So if we see, let me see if I have a shortcut. General, yeah. So this is a Brave shortcut that I have on my screen. So if you see the type of file that it creates is a link file. I guess it's a bit small, but you can just open up the properties and go to General tab, and you can see this is a. So the shortcuts are basically the link files, and in forensics, link files are also used in places where, mm, in order to store temporary files, the in order to store temporary files, when a new file is created, the logs are being stored, and those are also stored in a link file. So yes, I hope that is clear. Okay, private browsers can store data. Not everything, but yes, they also kind of store data, but most of the things are encrypted. So as I told about Brave browser, things are encrypted, and it is a bit difficult to get things out of there. So how do you deal with something that happens in RAM memory and not in disk? So once the system reboots, little or no information remains available about what happened. Okay, yeah. So if I am understanding correctly, this is a concept. There is a forensic field that is RAM forensics. So whenever you have something stored, suppose you have created a sticky note. Yeah, dump it is a great tool. Yeah. Uh, Suppose you have created a sticky note on your system. So and whenever you take a like dump that RAM image, you can get what all things are there on that are stored on a RAM for that single instance. So RAM forensics is also there. You can Google it and get lots of information on that as well. And yes, Vijay said it correct. Dump it to the tool that is used for RAM data collection. I would suggest do not try dump it on your local system. Create a VM and try it over there. Because sometimes dump it crashes the system, because I have been through some blue screens. So I don't want you guys to go through the same. Yes. So any more questions do we have?
Let's wait for another minute. Let's see if there
Yeah,
is any
sure.
question. Yeah.
Sure. In the meantime, I can show you different. Uh, Sorry. Yeah. Mm, where is it? Yeah. Different cheat sheet that I generally like. There's this hunt evil thing, which contains all the different services and executables in the Windows machine, and suppose for explorer.exe. It gives different information, the users accounts, like what is the start time. So and then we can also see the lateral movement thing. uh, you can get it all for free from yeah, you can get it all for free from the SANS website. Okay, so so in a company with multiple computers, how do you find how many systems have been compromised? You check each system, or is there any way? Okay, so there are different ways. You can automate the process if you have to. So basically, one of the people said, if you have to automate, like if you have to do the same thing more than 3 times, just automate it. Generally, if you take a like there's IDS and IPS running on your system, okay, suppose on your network, sorry. Yeah. And from there, you have seen some abnormal traffic that is passing through it. So your IDS will tell you that this is the thing. You can get that machine from where the traffic is coming, and you can have a look. So there are different ways. There are not a single way to know which one is compromised, but it depends upon the scenario, basically. Okay. How would you approach any digital crime? I hope that answers your question, Nitesh. How would you approach any digital crime or investigation? Is it okay to follow a pattern or depends upon scenario? Again, as I said, now depending upon following a pattern is not a great thing, because what it will do is those patterns attackers also might be knowing, and if they are knowing, they might have removed those footprints. So depending upon the scenarios, depending upon the creativity that you can put in, you can create a methodology for each investigation and move ahead from there. I hope that answers your question, Harshit. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Nice. Oh, Aparna, are there any more questions?
No, not yet. Again, I would like to request the participants, if you have any queries, you can always put your questions in the chat box.
Yes.
If there aren't any doubts, you can always comment, it's clear, or a thumbs up in the chat box.
Awesome. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much.
So I would like to thank all the participants on this session for being such a wonderful audience. And the recording of this session would be out soon on our social pages. So we request you all to follow our social pages. It has been posted on our chat box. So thank you all. And thank you, Ashwin, for a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you.